Okay, let's dive into one of the most crucial topics in AI today, teaching our models what we actually want them to do. It's not just about making them smart, it's about making sure they're aligned with our goals. So, this is the core question for anyone building or leading a team that works with large models. How do you actually fine tune an AI's behavior, its style? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down by looking at the top 3 methods out there. All right, let's meet our 3 main contenders for aligning AI. We've got RLHF, DPO, and RLAF. Each one takes a pretty unique swing at the same fundamental challenge. First up is RLHF, or Reinforcement Learning from Human Feedback. The easiest way to think about this is like teaching a chef by having humans meticulously score every single dish on a scale of 1 to 10. You're literally building a detailed preference guide. They call it a reward model that defines what good even looks like. This is why it's so often used for high-stakes stuff where all that nuance really matters. Now, what's so interesting about DPO, or direct preference optimization, is just how simple it is. Sticking with our chef analogy, this is like just telling them, hey, I prefer this dish over that one. That's it. You get to skip the whole complex scorecard and train the model directly on these simple comparisons. And that efficiency, it's a total game changer for teams that need to iterate and get features out the door fast. And last but not least, we have RLIAF, which stands for Reinforcement Learning from AI Feedback. This method is like hiring an expert AI food critic to give feedback for you. You use a really powerful existing AI to generate just massive amounts of preference data. This is the path you take when you're aiming for hyperscale and need to train on a volume of feedback that would be totally impossible for humans to do alone. Okay, so let's pop the hood for a second and see how these different approaches actually work in practice. So the absolutely crucial thing to get about RLHF is that it's a 2-stage process. First, you use all that human feedback to build a rulebook. That's your reward model. Then, in the second stage, you train your main AI to follow those rules and just try to get the highest score it possibly can. And this slide right here brilliantly illustrates DPO's big advantage. It so cleverly bypasses the need for that whole separate reward model. By training directly on preferences, it just offers a more direct and, frankly, often a much simpler path to get to the exact same alignment goal. The big idea with RLAIF is all about one thing: scale. You're making a strategic trade-off. You swap out what can be slow and expensive human annotation for incredibly fast and just massive amounts of AI-generated feedback. This lets you train your models at a completely different pace. So, for all you builders and leaders watching, this is where it gets really practical. How do you actually choose between these? Well, it all comes down to a few key trade-offs. This table pretty much lays out the core differences. RLHF, super powerful, but its demand for high-quality human labeling makes it costly and complex. So it's ideal for those mission-critical systems. DPO is way simpler and cheaper, which makes it perfect for rapid prototyping and just getting a product tuned quickly. And then you've got RLAIF, which offers that incredible scale, but, and this is a big but, its effectiveness really hinges on having a top-notch AI judge to begin with. And as you can see right here, the resource requirements are not even in the same ballpark. RLHF is the absolute heavyweight in both cost and complexity. DPO is the lightweight, much more accessible option. And RLAF, well, it's the variable. Its cost and complexity depend completely on the AI critic you're using, which makes it a powerful but definitely a calculated bet on scale. Okay, this brings us to the most practical part of our explainer: how to actually pick the right strategy for your project. So, the most important thing is to evaluate your decision based on your unique situation. Ask yourself, do you have a big budget for nuanced, detailed human labeling? That probably points you toward RLHF. Is your top priority simplicity and speed to get a model fine-tuned fast? DPO is almost certainly your answer. Or is your main goal just to scale up as fast as humanly or inhumanly possible, and you have a powerful model that can act as a judge? Then you'd be looking right at RLAIF. Your answers to these questions pretty much map directly to your strategy. Ultimately, the biggest takeaway here is this: there is no single best method for every single situation. The choice is completely contextual. You pick the right tool for the job you have today, and then you have to continuously monitor performance, always ready to reevaluate as your project grows and changes. And that's our look at the landscape of AI preference learning. It leaves us with a final and I think a pretty fascinating question to chew on.
As AI gets better and better at giving feedback, what is the future role of uniquely human judgment in shaping the AI of tomorrow?